Modern boxing has largely forgotten the inside game. Duran made it his hunting ground. Inside the phone booth, Duran wasn't just throwing punches. He was reading hands, controlling bodies, and picking fighters apart. Today, we're breaking down exactly how he did it. The sensitivity work, the weight shifts, the head control, frame by frame. Let's go ahead and jump in. This segment here is so important because it highlights something that the OGs just had so much more ability and awareness of, which is the hand sensitivity. Being able to pummel your glove in and out of different positions was vital back in the day. Whereas now you see guys getting close enough, they're just going to wrap their opponent up and wait for the ref to break. You are leaving so much good game on the table by giving up the pummeling positions and not vying for a better position, getting your gloves to the inside, controlling your opponent's glove, and then getting some work off on the inside. So let's check this out right here. The young athlete in the blue shorts is going to initiate some offense. From here, this jab is going to get slipped by Roberto. And notice how the athlete's momentum continues forward. Roberto is going to fire this right body shot. Looks like it hits just behind the lead side arm of the opponent. And then from there, he's going to throw that left body shot just around the rear side arm. Now, from here, look how close the two athletes are to each other. Now, in modern boxing, the two athletes being this close to each other is immediately going to result in them wrapping each other up, so neither one can really work, and then the ref is going to break them. Let's look at how Roberto is going to deal with this. So from this left body shot right here, pay attention to what happens. The shot is going to hit, but from here, it's not just about hitting. He is going to turn that left glove into a tricep or elbow control. From here, the opponent is going to push a little bit, and then we see the opponent starting to raise that left arm up. From there, Duran is going to turn it into an inside bicep tie, so it's kind of glove is going to point outwards. Usually on an inside bicep tie, that the claw of the glove is going to point outwards, and that can then monitor the opponent's elbow, inside of the elbow, or the opponent's bicep right here. And that obviously is going to form an inside vertical bar that will stop the opponent from throwing looping shots around to the left side of Roberto. But from here, what does the opponent do? He's going to retreat his arm, thereby leaving that vertical bar not terribly useful. And then from here, look at how Roberto reacts to the opponent looking to throw either an uppercut or a body shot. He's going to tuck his left arm in, and he's able to defend that left side shot. And then from here, notice how the opponent's arm is underneath of Roberto's arm. This is going to be important because it gets us to our next position, which is going to be this inside bar here. This inside bar, depending on how deep it penetrates, pause, it can either be an inside bar where you use your forearm, as we see Roberto do here, but if this gets a little bit more shallow, he can use the inside of his glove, the claw of his glove, to simply drape his glove over top of the opponent's glove or forearm. Now from here, using this inside bar, he is able to open up the opponent's right arm. So that inside bar is super useful for purposes of opening up. But again, the opponent is going to retreat that glove, and now we see that there is a possible threat for a right side shot. Roberto is going to turn his left arm into an underhook, and then from here, the opponent is going to start looking to pummel his arm back in. And as he pummels that arm back in, the opponent has an underhook on that side. And then from here, the opponent is going to get his hands back and his elbows back a little bit to get them closer to him. And the two athletes are going to break. Guys, all of this happened in 4, 5, 6 seconds, something like that. This type of hand sensitivity is so important. If you guys are looking to get better at your inside game, you need to be paying attention to sequences like this. You need to be able to play this type of game with your eyes closed. And because you're on the inside, there's much less margin for error, given that you and your opponent are going to be quite a bit closer together. So these reactions, the inside bars, the drapes, the bicep ties, etc., and so forth, have to be second nature, as we see Roberto playing here. Now, before we get into this segment, I want y'all to be real with me. Comment down below how many of you guys treat head control as one of the more paramount elements of any sort of clinch game. And guys, this applies to any of y'all who are in any sport that has a clinch. So boxers, Muay Thai guys, MMA guys, how many of y'all focus on the head control? Or do you guys just go right to some sort of arm pummeling or any other sort of technique before you establish head control? Now, why am I asking that, and why is head control so important? Let's go ahead and talk about this segment here. Now, at first glance, it kind of just looks like this segment is Nigel Benn right here in the red shirt, getting some work off on the body, and then the two athletes are going to disengage. But let's check this out. Those of you guys who don't know, this is actually a very popular sparring clip. Legendary Roberto Duran, super out of shape, hasn't fought in quite some time, sparring, I believe, a pretty prime Nigel Benn, and just kind of swagging on Benn a little bit, doing his thing, not really working too terribly hard, and just showed a ton of really, really smooth moments where a veteran is just kind of showing that ring craft. Now, why do I say that? Let's look at this position. And again, Nigel is more active, but we are going to see Duran do something that is so important. So from here, we are starting this segment, and pay attention to Nigel's head. His head is right up in the kitchen, right kind of nestled up against Duran's titties right there. Pause. Now, this is super important, guys, because the head being up in the kitchen is an incredibly good position if you know what to do with it. From here, Nigel is going to get to work. He's going to start firing these shots to the body while he has that dominant head position. Now, in addition to those shots to the body, Nigel's going to be pressuring in. Look at how Duran reacts to Nigel pressuring in. Again, keep in mind, Duran is in the less advantageous position. When your head is in the kitchen, you have a little bit better leverage, and you can more easily expose the opponent's gut. So from here, with that head up in the kitchen, he's going to pressure forward. Duran is going to peek his head out the side right here. And as he is getting backed up, Duran is going to find his way back in to even the levels of both athletes' heads. And you'll see right about here, now both athletes are more or less in the same position, where Nigel's head is on Duran's left trap, and Duran's head is more or less on Nigel's left trap. Now, why is this so important? Before, when Duran's head was around here, Nigel had plenty of real estate to work off of with Duran's gut. But Duran was able to retreat, get his hips back a little bit, and use that head in this position as a wedge to allow his hips to move backwards. And now both athletes have equal real estate on the inside. From here, they both understand, okay, this is an even position, and they're both going to disengage. So let's check this out one more time. Starting with Nigel up in the kitchen, Duran's going to peek that head back up and get his hips back, using that head control as a wedge to allow the hips to come back and make that space on the inside. Now, with both athletes having space on the inside, notice Nigel is going to go for that rear side shot, but Duran is going to be able to use his gloves and his arms to defend those shots. And then from there, the two athletes are going to disengage. Guys, this type of game is so important. And look, maybe you guys are watching this and you have an MMA background or you have a Muay Thai background. And you're like, yo, I can't get my head in the kitchen like that because I'm going to get kneed. Fair enough. But you don't maybe necessarily want to get your head right up in their titties like that. However, there's plenty of, I would actually argue that there's certain positions where it's okay to put your head up in their tits like that. However, you should still be prioritizing head control because of the larger function. Notice how this allowed Duran to access that space between the two athletes. Whereas in the beginning of this segment, it was only Nigel who had access to that space with only his head in the kitchen. If you can at the very least even the fight up as Duran does here with his head on Nigel's trap and Nigel's head on his trap, now both of you have a fighting chance at advancing position. Now YouTube has limits on what I can show you. On the Patreon, I'm going to be going a ton more in depth. We're going to talk about Duran's inside bars, his whizzer escapes, his head control, and his footwork. And yes, I did say Now, YouTube has limits on what I can show you. On Patreon, I'm going to be getting a lot more in-depth. We're going to be talking about Duran's inside bars, his head control, his slapsies grips, and his footwork. Yes, I said it, footwork up in the clinch. If you guys are serious about peeping more work on the inside game, you guys can check it out on the Patreon. Link is in the description below. That's all for today, guys. If you guys caught something you hadn't seen before, this channel might be worth sticking around for. Subscribe here on YouTube and make sure to follow Boring Breakdowns on Instagram and TikTok. I'm putting out clips, extra breakdowns, and stuff that doesn't make it into the full videos. If you guys coach, compete, or have a training partner that geeks out on this stuff, send them this video. That's genuinely the best way to help this channel grow. And if you ever want to go deeper, there's a free membership on Patreon. If you ever want to directly support this work, there's paid tiers as well. The link's in the description. Either way, I appreciate y'all being here.